Hey guys, I'm Shane, and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. I wanted to put this video together to kind of give you an idea of who I am as a person and the kind of content that you can expect to see on this channel moving forward. A little bit about myself. Again, I'm Shane. I'm 28 years old. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, you'll see that I'm into GM trucks. I'm into craft beer, totally love stouts and IPAs, all that good stuff. So I do some kind of beer reviews online. I'm posting about, my trucks. I have a 94 S10 SS, and I just recently, in March, I picked up a 2008 Trailblazer SS, which I'm enjoying so far. A little more personal about me. Not too long ago, I started posting some Smool singing videos. I've been into singing for probably about 10 years or so now. It kind of started out as a karaoke thing where I got dared, hey, you should go up there and sing. And I'd be like, no, I'm petrified of that. Like, what are you talking about? I've never done this before. And I did that. And ever since then, people were just kind of like, oh, wow, this kid can actually kind of sing. And I actually kind of surprised myself. So I've gotten a lot better over the course of the last 10 years or so, as you would imagine, if you keep up with things and practice. So that's kind of something I've been doing, since kind of the start of this whole quarantine thing. I've been posting some singing videos. But the point of this channel, I wanted to originally go in and put all my singing videos up there, but I thought that was only a really small portion of who I am and what I'm all about. Something that I haven't really gotten into with most people, I don't really advertise this on social media, but as of 6 years old, I was diagnosed with Becker muscular dystrophy, which is a neuromuscular disease. Luckily for me, that's one of the least aggressive forms of this disease. Duchenne muscular dystrophy is another one that's very common. ALS is also associated with muscular dystrophy. So if you don't know too much about that, for me, I've lived with it for most of my life. I had a biopsy when I was 6 years old, and I had some neurologists that were able to pinpoint, hey, there's a gene mutation here, and that's what they found. So what that means for me, when I was a lot younger, I could do a hell of a lot more. But that doesn't mean that I'm not trying, and that doesn't mean that I'm not doing things every day to try to improve myself. I still work with a personal trainer. I still have an exercise bike that I use at home quite often. I try to be as active as I possibly can. And it seems like movement and just doing that sort of thing is just way better for me than sitting around doing nothing. So you can't just give in, and you can't just give up just because you have an ailment or you have something that's, a challenge. It's like, you just have to live your life and make the most of it, because life is here and gone before you know it. So you really have to make the most of it. For me, basically, it is a progressive disease. As I mentioned, when I was younger, I could do a lot more. I used to ride my bike, do all that kind of stuff, run around like most kids. But my parents had noticed that after playing for a while, I'd start crawling around on the ground. And, 5, 6 years old, it's like, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be happening. So basically, I would get really bad Charlie horses. My calves would just get so tight. And a big thing was I had to stay hydrated. I'd get really thirsty. And again, just some more red flags of something's not quite right with this kid. And so eventually, like I said, I was diagnosed, and, I went to a lot of physical therapy as a kid. I did horseback riding, I did pool therapy, I did regular, occupational therapy, like a rehab center, where people would go if they get injured or they had a surgery or something like that. And, so you'd see this young kid, 6, 7, 8 years old, and these older people would, kind of be like, oh, that's different, but you got to do what you got to do. So I had a lot of different avenues that I took, that my parents took to try to keep me going and try to work on my motor skills and keep me moving around. When I got to, I would say 8th grade, I actually did play senior league baseball. I had never really played baseball in my life. But it was something that I wanted to do. And, I wasn't the best player on the field, as you would imagine. But I really wanted to push myself to do that, and I did. And, I can say, hey, I did that. A lot of kids in my position would probably be like, oh, well, what if somebody says something, or, what if I'm too slow, or this, that, the other thing. But again, it just comes down to, living your life to the fullest. You only get one shot at this, so you got to make the most of it. But I obviously I still drive, I still do all that stuff, I still get around myself, all that kind of stuff. I still fully ambulatory. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so, did the regular school thing like everybody else. I didn't really have any, special arrangements there. When I was really young, I was actually in Catholic school, and that lasted up until about 4th grade. And, long story short, just didn't work out. I had a teacher that was just all over me all the time. I'm too slow, I'm not moving as fast as the other kids, this, that, the other thing. And I was petrified. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was in 4th grade at the time. I didn't know what to do. I was like, my parents aren't going to believe me. If I'm saying, oh, the teacher doesn't like me, well, so eventually, it got to the point where every morning I was just, screaming and crying and didn't want to go to school. And then it surfaced that, basically because of my disability, it just wasn't working out with this teacher. And, so that's when I got moved over to public school. And, at that time, it was like, I'm too slow, I'm not smart enough, this, that, the other thing. And to this day, I use that as motivation. And you have to use things that you go through in your life to be motivated and to push yourself. Sometimes your greatest competitor can be yourself. And in my case, because, I'm kind of a unicorn a little bit, I guess, because I'm not like everybody else. And so for me, it's like my competition, trying to compete with somebody else, it doesn't, it's like apples to oranges. It's not really the same. I mean, yeah, there are some things that are quite different, but there are some things that are similar. But again, going back to that, sometimes you're your own best competitor, and you know what buttons to push to get yourself to go somewhere where maybe somebody else wouldn't know how to do that for you. But yeah, so basically that teacher, I proved them wrong. To this day, I still do that. Oh, you're not smart enough and you're too slow. Well, guess what? I went to high school and I ended up making National Honor Society. I did that. I did really well there. I went to college. I graduated summa cum laude in college. So I think I'm doing all right. But yeah, so I mean, you just have to really push yourself. And, if you have that chip on your shoulder that you're trying to prove people wrong, that can really push you to places that, other people may not necessarily think you could go and you can attain. So, but anyways, so more about the content of the actual channel. So I'm going to have stuff about my vehicles on here, and modifications, maybe some product reviews of different aftermarket parts that I put on, or get somebody else to install, whatever. I still like to work on my own stuff as I can. You know, I pick and choose, you know, certain things. I did a lot, you know, when I was working part-time, you know, after I got out of college. You know, I was kind of doing a lot of my own work and doing some side work for people. So I definitely have quite a knowledge of vehicles and that sort of thing. I'm no expert, but, you know, I've done quite a bit, and, you know, I can talk cars and trucks and stuff with a lot of people. That doesn't really matter what you like. If you're into tuners, or if you're into, you know, lifted trucks and all that stuff, I can still hold a conversation with you, no problem. But again, you know, I'm more of a GM guy, but I don't discriminate. You know, I'll talk cars and trucks and vehicles with anyone all day long. I'm also going to put up, you know, the stuff about craft beer, you know, kind of give my little review of some different brews out there. You know, some that are new, some that I've, you know, had that are kind of go-to favorites of mine, that sort of thing. And I'll also be posting some of my workout related stuff of what I do to keep myself going, considering my situation. I thought maybe, you know what, a lot of channels that you see with people who are into fitness and stuff, they're in excellent shape and they don't have any real issues. So I thought it might be a different perspective for some people, to kind of see, you know, somebody that has some limitations, see what they do. It might help some other people that are in the same boat, you know. That's kind of my whole thing with this channel, is I want to inspire other people to do things that they may not be comfortable with, or, you know, just push yourself to improve. And just like my shirt says, be relentless. That's kind of my whole mantra. That's kind of what I live by, is don't give up. Just keep pushing yourself. And, you know, you only get one shot at this life, so you got to make the most of it. And you don't want to have any regrets. Sure, you know, I have some regrets in the past of, you know, maybe I wish I would have worked a little harder on, you know, my conditioning when I was younger. You know, maybe I would have been in a better position. But you know what? It's like, you have to move forward. You can't worry about the rear view mirror. That's why the rear view mirror is this big and your windshield is gigantic, because your focus has to be what's in front of you and not behind you. And that's another part of the way I look at things, and my perspective is what's done is done, and you have to just keep moving and try to improve yourself and do something that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, you know, every day. Just whether it's physical or it's mental, or, you know, you try something new, just try to do stuff that makes you feel slightly uncomfortable, you know, every day if you can. And this pandemic has really brought that out with a lot of people, because, you know, everything is different. Everything is crazy. And, you know, a lot of people are uncomfortable right now. And now we're supposedly going into the second wave. And that was kind of another thing that prompted me, you know what? People out there, they could maybe use a little inspiration from somebody like me. They can see, you know, what I do and what I go through. And, you know, maybe somebody can get something from that. So, you know, that's kind of my whole thing of putting myself out there. Is I'm not looking for attention. I'm not starving for, you know, people to look at me and try to get views. No, I'm really just doing this to try to help others. I'm doing this to try to inspire other people. And, you know, I've been told by some of my friends and family that not enough people know who you are, and not enough people know, you know, how you push yourself and that kind of thing. So I kind of took that to heart, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I do need to kind of put myself out there, and maybe I can help somebody else. So again, you know, thanks for watching this first video. And if you like what you hear about, you know, the whole inspiration thing, or just the general content of the vehicles and the beers and that kind of thing, and the modified fitness stuff, if you like the sound of that, then go ahead and subscribe. and I will be putting plenty of content on here in the near future. So for now, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.